Hey yo, what's good? Hey, it's me. So I hope you are having a whoever you are, whatever your name is, I'll be having a fantastic day. George, Frank, Clarence, I don't care. Welcome to the video. Today I'm gonna show you how I like to play Galaxy Eyes, right? I've got a free-to-play deck profile for you. I built the deck that you're looking at in the space of 24 hours on a brand new free-to-play account. And so as per the deck profile series, I'm going to have a segment where I showcase how to create yourself a brand new account on Steam. You can skip that. The time codes will be in the description, or just look at the bottom part of the video. You can skip. And then we're going to get into the actual deck profile. I'm going to show you guys some of my favorite plays, some things that you can do, and just, have some fun with the Galaxy Eyes deck profile. So if you're an enthusiast of the deck, if you've already got the deck built and you just want to see maybe some tips on some plays that you can make, some different ideas for how you can build your deck, this is the video for you. With all that being said, enjoy the quick tutorial. To create a new account for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, there's 3 core things that you're going to need: a new email address, a new Steam account, and a new Konami ID. Now, head over to Gmail or any other third-party platform that allows you to create multiple email accounts and, well, create a new account. This is the most straightforward step. I tend to use Gmail because it's quick, easy, and seamless. Some other options are Yahoo and Proton Mail. Once that's done, you'll need to log out of your existing Steam account and create a new one. Make sure that you know the login details for your existing Steam account so that you do not lock yourself out of your existing account. Once that's done, you can implement the details from the email account that we just created in order to make yourself a brand new Steam account. They'll ask you to verify your email, and once that's done, boom, new Steam account created. Open up Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel on the brand new Steam account that you created and begin the game. Now, a few things will have to happen here. You don't have to reinstall the game, but you will need to re-download the game's data. You'll be asked to read the privacy policies and taken through the tutorial, which you can then skip, after which point you'll be asked to download the full game data. The starter deck that you choose and the name that you put in do not matter because the name can be changed later on, and well, the starter deck isn't what we're here for. Once the download is done, you go to the sub-menu from the main menu and click on Data Transfer Settings. You'll see a link there that asks you to link your Konami ID to this game account. Once you're at the website where the link takes you to, you can now create a brand new Konami ID using the email that we created at the start of the process. You'll be asked to verify your email address, and once that's done, your account will be officially linked to this Konami ID, which has now been created. It's a completely free process, and you can start playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel on this new account without any fear of losing your progress. There's a few important things to note. The very first is, when switching between Steam accounts, say you want to go back to your original account, you will not have to re-download the game data every single time. Once the accounts that you're switching between have gone past the tutorial, the point at which all of the game data is downloaded, you don't have to reinstall the entire game every time. You just seamlessly log out and log back in so long as you've gotten past the tutorial stage. The second thing that's very important is this game does have a Steam lock feature. Once a Konami ID has been linked to a Steam account, it cannot be unlinked, and you cannot log into that Konami ID on a different Steam account. Now, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, where you can log out of your existing account, but you will never be able to log in on another Steam device, this game does not let you Steam lock yourself. It will prevent you from logging out or putting another game's data onto your Steam account, so there's no need to worry about that. I hope you found the guide useful. If you did, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Stay tuned for the deck profile. When it comes to this deck list, the written names of the cards will be in the pinned comment down below, so don't you worry about that. You can take a look at that. And for that reason, I'm not going to read each individual card, go one by one just to explain. No. You can just look down there, and if you'd like to read the cards, feel free to do so at your earliest convenience, because, that's the most easy part. The real kicker is when you start using these cards together and seeing how they work and apply in unison. I'm going to start the profile by breaking down your opening play. Now, with this deck, honestly, you can go first or second. It's a very versatile deck list, but I generally prefer going first. That way I can set up a negate or just create a board that's very difficult for my opponent to break without having to play through a bunch of negates on the way there. This deck can extremely consistently get itself a Photon Lord on the field. In my opinion, you always want to make Photon Lord turn 1. In my personal experience, it's the best card in the archetype because it acts as a quick play monster negate that can destroy your opponent's monsters, and on the very same turn, it can search out basically any card in the archetype and either equip it to itself as a material or add it to your hand. So it's got that disruption, it's got a decent body, and it's just an all-rounder in my opinion. But with the deck this diverse and with this many options, there are other things that you can make alongside this card depending on what you open. it's very, very difficult to brick. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to break down the stages of an optimal board, like we're dissecting the 5 stages of grief, and then we're gonna go on from there, right? The best board that you can open turn 1 is a Photon Lord alongside a Photon Blast Dragon that is equipped with either a Photon Orbital or a Dragon Buster from your deck using Union Carrier. This is almost an unbreakable board because it's just so difficult to out. Photon Lord is acting as your monster negate like we talked about, so you've got that disruption, but on top of that, you've got yourself a Photon Blast Dragon. What this card says is, while this XZ summon monster is on the field, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with 2,000 or more attack with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which means that your monster negate in the form of Photon Lord with 2,500 attack is completely untargetable and completely indestructible by card effects. Now, you don't stop there because of the equip spells. You've got Photon Orbital, which if you have this equipped to your Photon Blast Dragon, boosts up Photon Blast Dragon to 2,300 attack, meaning that it is also protected by its own effect. It cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. On top of that, Photon Orbital says that it cannot be destroyed by battle, which means that the card that's protecting your other cards, you can't get rid of it unless you have a means to get rid of the Photon Orbital first. Now, while that might sound insane, the most insane play that you can make is to land on Dragon Buster equipped to your Photon Blast Dragon. What this card says is, while it is equipped to a monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. You completely floodgate their special summons from the extra deck, which can completely shut down certain decks. And if this card is equipped onto Photon Blast by Union Carrier, it'll boost up Photon Blast attack by 1,000, meaning that it is also protected by its own effect. It's destructible by battle, but in return, your opponent can't special summon from the extra deck, so they have to get a 2,800 attack monster on the field to deal with it without special summoning from the extra deck, which is just awesome. Not to mention, Photon Lord only requires 2 level 8 monsters, meaning that if you use Astral Karibo to make your Photon Lord, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects just innately based on this card's effect. If it's used as an Xyz material, that is the effect that it gives the monster that it makes. You've got a bunch of number monsters in your extra deck that you can reveal to make Astral Karibo's level 8, and then just go from there. So depending on the combination that you've got in place, you've got an unbreakable board, or you've put yourself in a position where your opponent cannot link, fusion, Xyz, or Synchro, or even Pendulum summon from the face-up extra deck, if you've got these cards in the right place at the right time, effectively. The issue with that is consistency. You won't usually be able to get all of these things going at once. It requires, quite frankly, an impeccable starting hand, and if you open it, there's a good chance that you've won the game. But there are other ways to open falling short of that. Like I said, we're going through the stages. That was the best one. You could also find yourself with just a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon plus Photon Blast. Photon Blast, when summoned onto the field, will summon a Galaxy Eyes from your hand, and if you've used Vanisher to make yourself a Photon Blast, you definitely have Galaxy Eyes in your hand. You might not be able to extend past that point to make yourself an Xyz monster, but you've got an untargetable, indestructible Galaxy Eyes on the field. Not to mention, if it does get destroyed, Photon Blast can special summon it back from the graveyard. Another turn 1 option is to make Soul Flare Dragon via Link Summon. That way you have a quick play pop during your opponent's turn by discarding a Galaxy Eyes from your hand. So in short, when opening with this deck, you ideally want Photon Lord plus Photon Blast, but you can settle for either on its own or a Soul Flare Dragon somewhere in there. There is an optimal opening here, but this deck is flexible enough to miss that and still be able to make plays. Now that the opening is done, I want to cover some tidbits about the deck, just things that I find interesting or specific details that I want to mention about certain cards or interactions. First up is Photon Lord. Like I said, it can search out basically any card in the archetype, and I generally like to grab myself a Galaxy Knight. This allows me to have some follow-up on my next turn. If a Galaxy Eyes gets into the graveyard, I add this to my hand. I can normal summon this card to special summon the Galaxy Eyes from the graveyard. With that being said though, I might grab myself a Galaxy Trance instead. It depends on the game state. If I predicted a Galaxy Eyes is going to be in the graveyard by the end of the turn, this is quite frankly one of the most powerful recovery cards in the deck, and so falling short of a Galaxy Knight, I might just grab this. I already spoke in some detail about Astral Karibo, but I wanted to take a second to reassure you that this card will not brick your deck at 2 copies. It is a free level 8 monster on the field based on its own effect. It special summons itself from the hand based on the cards in your extra deck. If you open it, you are guaranteed to have a level 8 monster on the field no matter what, and so it's kind of just down to whatever else you have in play to get another level 8 to XZ summon with. I don't run it at 3 copies because it's a once per turn effect and I don't want to open more than one in my opening hand, but you are almost never upset to see this card. Afterglow Dragon is an amazing card for this deck. It helps you to get into your XZ summon so fluidly. It is one of the top 5, I would say, cards that you want to see. Now, if you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position, so you get yourself that 1 level 8 on the board. This is just free. You get in rank 8 XZs, no problem whatsoever. Now, what's awesome is if this card is detached from an XZ's monster to activate that monster's effect, you can take 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand or deck and either special summon it or attach it as an XZ's material to a monster that you control. So this is always the card that you want to detach. Well, almost always the card that you want to detach for your discard fodder. When you're detaching something from an XZ's material, you want to detach this to get yourself more card advantage. On top of that, because this card can only summon from the hand or deck, you generally want to try and keep at least 1 Galaxy Eyes in hand or in deck, just so that this card's effect is live. Ideally, you want to be summoning from the deck because that way you're not using up a resource from your hand. It's not essential, but it does help. Now, you might have been wondering, how am I going to equip Dragon Buster onto my monsters? Well, Union Carrier will force it to equip despite the fact that its own effect says that it only equips onto Buster Blader monsters. Now, this card is a dark attributed monster, so most of our cards won't be able to resonate with it on that basis, but it is a dragon, meaning that it can equip to any of your dragon monsters in this archetype, and that is extremely good. That being said, you have to remember that it's equipping on the basis of being a dragon, meaning that it will not equip onto Photon Lord and it will not equip onto Union Carrier itself. Those 2 cards do not have any basis on which to resonate with the card. That is the Dragon Buster part of the equation. Union Carrier is quite interesting in and of itself because it works with a different card in the archetype in the form of Photon Orbital. Now, Photon Orbital says you can target a Photon or Galaxy monster you control and equip this monster from your hand or field to that target. Cool. You can equip Photon Orbital onto Union Carrier using Carrier's effect, and just like that, you've got to search because this card says you can send this equipped card to the graveyard to add a Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. It doesn't say you have to detach it from a Photon or Galaxy monster, just have it as an equipped card, send it to the graveyard, meaning that despite not meeting the requirements to be an equipped monster, Union Carrier just got you a search off of Photon Orbital. Now, that's the more pedestrian stuff done. I want to get into the meat and potatoes, like some of the fun stuff that this deck can do that is absolutely insane. Now, you can make yourself a Cypher Dragon in this deck. What Cypher Dragon does is it yoinks your opponent's monsters. It says, hey, I'm going to take one of your monsters, and then it makes your opponent's monster's name Cypher Dragon as well. It boosts its attack to 3,000, but you give it back in the end phase, and it can't attack your opponent directly. You might think, oh, well, that's not the craziest thing in the world. That you get a yoink that can't attack directly for 1 turn. That might be good for a push for lethal, but that's not what this card is for. Now, what this card is for is to help you XZ's climb, to go higher than ever before, because what you also have in this deck is Galaxy Eye Cypher X Dragon. Once per turn, you can XZ summon this card by using a Cypher Dragon monster you control as material. It doesn't say Cypher Dragon XZ's monster, it says a Cypher Dragon monster, meaning that your opponent's monster that you just stole qualifies. You can rank up on top of your opponent's monster, even if it is not an XZ's monster, to make yourself a Galaxy Eye Cypher X Dragon. Your opponent's monster is yoinked permanently. Now, that's all good and fine, but you're still left with a dilemma. Cypher Dragon says that the only card that can swing at your opponent directly this turn is itself, so all that you can do is use your other monsters to swing into your opponent's monsters, and if your opponent isn't dead by the end of the turn, you enter main phase 2. Because an XZ's monster attacked this turn in the form of, Cypher Dragon and Cypher X most likely, you can rank up into Zeus. Right? Zeus says if an XZ's monster battled this turn, you can XZ's this card on top of it. It's another XZ's climb, so you yoink your opponent's monster, ranked up into your own monster, and then you can rank up on top of that monster as well to make yourself a Zeus for disruption on the next turn. I hope I haven't lost you. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments down below, and I will try my best to answer all of them that I see. But moving on, we have number 62. Now, this card is cool. It has a fine effect. It's got a decent body. You absolutely love to see it. This card isn't here on its own. You can use it by itself, sure, if the situation calls for it, but this is just another stepping stone for an Xyz climb process. You go from number 62 into your full armor photon dragon. What this card says is you can detach a material from this card and target one face-up card your opponent controls, destroy it. So you rank up on top of the previous card that we just showed because you need to rank up on top of a Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster. So you rank up on top of number 62 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon into this monster, destroy a face-up card. Cool, that's awesome. You aren't done. You then rank up again into your Cypher Blade Dragon. Cypher Blade also allows you to destroy one of your opponent's cards. It doesn't have to be face up this time, so you get 2 pops off of this climb, and the reason why you have to do it in this order is because Cypher Blade Dragon says it cannot be used as material for an Xyz summon, so you cannot Xyz climb on top of this card. It has to round out that sequence. What that effect also means though is that you can't rank up into Zeus in the end phase. You are stuck in that final form of Cypher Blade. So while this is a very powerful play, I only use it for lethal if I know that I have something else set up, right? That way I can have some other form of disruption on my opponent's turn, because being forced to end on Blade means that you have no disruption effects in your back pocket. So this isn't my first option in terms of how to deal with my opponent's board, but it is an option. It's good for dealing with back row sometimes. It's fine. It's good, it's fine, we're moving on. Now I've got one more extra deck combination play for you, and that is number 97 plus number 100. This is your trump card in my opinion. You can make massive boards with this simple play, right? Now, what this card says is that you can special summon a dragon number monster from your extra deck, so you summon number 100, and then you activate number 100's effect. Number 100's effect says that it gains 1,000 times the rank of all Xyz monsters on the field. That's both players' fields, meaning that with number 100 and number 97 on the field, without fail, always, consistently, this card will have 9,000 attack at a base level. If you've got your other plays done, and that's why it's a trump card. If you've got your other Xyz monsters on the field, other plays built up, and all of that stuff going on, you can boost your attack to some ridiculous values. And if your opponent is also playing an Xyz deck, they might have shot themselves in the foot, because that's just going to add on to this card's attack. Not to mention, number 100 has a board wipe failsafe. If it gets destroyed by a card effect, it'll just nuke the field and then let you set a spell card from the graveyard, which is going to be very useful for you. You don't normally lead with this unless you see clear lethal, but it is a great play. Now, before we round up, I wanted to put out an honorable mention in the form of Galaxy Soldier making Cyber Dragon Nova into Cyber Dragon Infinity. Now, Galaxy Soldier is a level 5 monster. You can get 2 on the field relatively free, and then following that, you can make yourself Nova, rank up into Infinity, and you have an Omni Negate on the board that can yoink your opponent's face-up attack position monsters. It is a great strategy. It's extremely easy to make. It's very viable. The only reason I don't run it in my deck is because of space. Most of the cards in this extra deck rank up into something else, and it's just 15 cards it's just not enough. And so my rationale is most of the cards in my deck are level 8 or level 4, and it's just easier and more consistent for me to make rank 4 and rank 8 monsters, right? That's the only reason. Even though Galaxy Soldier is searchable, there's only 2 copies of the card in my deck. If you want to run 3, you can, but in a 40 card deck, having only 3 cards that can make that combo that's taking up 2 spaces in my extra deck, I just couldn't really constantly, consistently enough get it to work as much as these other cards that you're seeing in the extra deck right now. If you're missing any of the other cards or you just want to run it though, it's completely viable and feel free. Alright, so that is Galaxy Eyes broken down for you, my favorite plays, my favorite interactions. I hope you found the video useful, helpful, informative, and I hope you had fun with it. If you did, consider leaving a like. I want to start doing a lot more of these, and subscribe so you can be here when I do them. Thank you for your time and have a great day. Bye, friends.